The 2020 BMW R nineT 5. The half-century mark is an important milestone for any motorcycle manufacturer, and BMW Motorrad celebrates by building the retro-tastic R nineT 5. This is actually a fairly faithful visual representation of the original R55s, R65s and R75s that populated the streets back in 1969 and on into the early 70s. A 110 horsepower, modern boxer engine drives this tribute piece with all the contemporary electronics and features under the hood that we've come to expect from our meticulous Bavarian friends. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 design. Beamer pulled out all the stops for the visuals of the R nineT 5. First off, the laced wheels set the tone for the rest of the machine, and this dated style is reinforced by the RWU front forks, black rubber fork gaiters, and Cyclops headlight. A chopped-down front fender contains the spray up front, and since it's much smaller than the original, I would argue that this adds a custom element to the mix. Blackout treatment on the headlight can, instrument housing, frame, and single-side swingarm reinforces the custom vibe. Brilliant chrome shows up on the exhaust headers and 2-in-1 muffler while it shares the stage with the blackout paint on the mirrors for a nice bit of contrast. Even the instrument cluster reaches back in time with its single round clock that displays an analog speedometer with idiot lights for the rest of the pertinent info, much like the originals. The shape of the 4.5-gallon fuel tank is almost a direct carryover with its long, graceful upper arch, knee pockets, black knee pads, and even the pinstriping. Atop the tank and aft of the fuel cap is another bit of bling in the form of a chrome badge that marks the machine as one of the 1969 to 2019 Special Edition 5 models. The contoured bench-type seat is yet another throwback with its faux tuck and roll finish and gently segregated pillion loft, and for your passengers' comfort, it carries subframe mount, fold-up foot pegs with a classic grab strap to finish it off. A cut-back rear fender mounts the rest of the gear in the rear to include LED turned taillight with a plateholder that uses the tag as an extension to help contain the spray. Even the upswept muffler plays right into the dated yet sporty look of the 5 to leave no stone unturned in Beamer's quest to channel the look and attitude that first saw light of day 5 decades ago. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 chassis. A modular frame on THR nineT 5 provides the structure with a removable pillion section that lets you strip down for a custom solo look. It leaves an aching void out back between the saddle and rear wheel that gives the R nineT 5 an all-up-front look. The frame departs from the original design by using the engine transmission assembly as a stressed unit. It displaces the downtubes and cradle that supported the engine back in the day. At the steering head, a 26.6-degree rake angle gives the 5 sporty handling characteristics combined with a 4.1-inch trail figure that sacrifices straight-line tracking for cornering performance, and a stock steering damper prevents kickback when the front wheel settles down from a moonshot. The laced wheels are classic-looking, no doubt about it, but unlike the originals, the rims are actually made from aluminum in a bid to keep unsprung weight down at both axles with steel spokes to connect the rims to the hubs. Z-rated hoops make the connection to the tarmac in a 120/70ths up front opposite a 180/55ths, both with a symmetrical, 17-inch rim size. A single-side, cast aluminum swingarm finishes up the standing structure and contributes to the clean look by doubling as the housing for the drive shaft. It relies on a central coil-over spring strut to support the rear end and tame the bumps, and comes with a continuously variable preload and rebound damper adjustments. Standard front forks ride on 43mm inner tubes but provide nothing in the way of adjustability. When it comes time to drop anchor, you can count on the stopping power of the dual 4-piston calipers that bite 320mm front discs and the twin pot binder that grabs the 265mm rear disc. It's all under Beamer's proprietary Motorrad ABS feature that adds a level of safety to the equation that the engineers could only dream of 50 years ago. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 drivetrain. BMW's air-cooled boxer twin on the R nineT 5, realistically, was a shoe-in based on looks alone. Like the past models, the R nineT 5 engine rides in the frame with its heads protruding from each side where they can catch plenty of cooling air to carry away the waste heat while underway, plus there's a small oil cooler mounted up under the steering head to protect the engine's lifeblood. The flat twin mill rocks 4 valves per head to open up the combustion chamber for efficient induction, exhaust with dual overhead cams to time the poppets rather than the pushrods used on the old models. This brings a concurrent reduction in the reciprocating mass of the valve train to turn in safer revs at the top of the range with less likelihood of harmonic valve float occurring. Massively over square, the engine runs a 101 mm bore and short, 73 mm stroke that puts the total displacement at 1170 cc with a 12:1 compression ratio that's near the top of the range. Maximum output is rated at 110 horsepower at 7,750 revolutions per minute, and those ponies are backed up by 86 pound-feet of torque that tops out at 6 grand even. Electronic fuel injection and a 3-way catalyst in the exhaust helps the mill meet Euro 4 emission standards and produce a 44 mpg fuel economy rating. Besides the ABS feature, the automatic stability control traction control serves as the only other safety electronics on this dated ride. A single-plate dry clutch couples engine power to the 6-speed, helical gear transmission with a shaft-type final drive to carry the power to the rear wheel, and the overall drive ratio turns out a top speed of over 125 miles per hour. How much over? I didn't test it. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 pricing. The 2020 R nineT 5 rolls with silver highlights throughout the drivetrain and a lupine blue metallic finish on the sheet metal in a final bid to marry itself to the look of the early models. This special edition model can be had for $12,495, and of course, the factory offers a line of accessories and clothing to complement the bike. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 competitor. The deep historical roots Beamer brings to bear with its R nineT 5 demands a competitor with an equal pedigree, and I feel comfortable that the Bonneville Speed Twin from British giant Triumph fits the bill like nothing else can, so let's get to it. Triumph Bonneville Speed Twin. Trumpet put together the modern classics range for the same sort of rider who'd be attracted to the BMW with style elements from the same era, more or less. A double downtube, double cradle frame sets the stage for the oh-so-British parallel twin-engine and teardrop tank that defines the Bonnie look. Dual exhaust pipes and gaitered front forks reinforce the look, and the neat pockets in the tank and bench seat seals the deal to tie in with the old-school build. Unfortunately, Trumpet opted for a water-cooled engine, so there's a great big honkin' radiator up front that no amount of black paint will ever make okay. Call me old-fashioned, but I prefer the look of air-cooled machines, though Triumph threw me a bone by putting cooling fins on the heads in order to sell the classic look. Both bikes are typical of the standard cruiser, UJM look that was popular in the early 70s, and bless them old boys, the rider triangle is a workable balance between upright comfort and tucked-in performance so you aren't pigeonholed by the layout. At 1,200 cc even, the Bonneville engine has a slight displacement advantage over the BMW Mill, but Triumph fails to convert that to a power advantage as it only produces 97.6 ponies and 82.6 pounds-o grunt against 110/86 from the Beamer. Got to respect that German engineering. The Speed Twin's suspension falls short, as well, with only the obligatory spring preload out back, but Triumph makes up for that with a trio of riding modes to go with its ABS and traction control features for a slight technological edge in the electronics. A slipper clutch lends the Bonnie another advantage to make the Speed Twin an arguably safer bike overall. Triumph sweetens the pot with a $12,200 price tag that's just a skosh lighter at the checkout, but I don't expect that difference to even register with prospective buyers, particularly in light of the special nature of the R nineT 5 and its historical significance. Read our full review of the Triumph Bonneville Speed Twin. He said. Beamer's option 719, range never disappoints, and the R nineT 5 is no exception. Seriously, if you're into classic-looking machines, just put the new version next to the original and take a few steps back. If you ignore the drum brake on the old bike, the two could almost pass as twins. I expect this model to perform well in the US market, particularly with riders who are around my own age, cuz to us, this is what bikes looked like growing up. She said. My wife and fellow motorcycle rider, Alan Hinton, says, from where did this come? The R nineT Pure, to start off. The 5 package includes chrome exhaust and heated grips with 2 heat levels. I love me some heated grips, don't you? The saddle is more plush and it has more electronics, and overall, it's a very sweet bike. It feels nice in the corners with easy handling, and the tank shape makes a narrow waist so reaching the ground is effortless. 2020 BMW R nineT 5 specifications.
If you liked this video, please share your thoughts in the comments below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.